Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Lindsay James, investment strategist and media spokesperson at Quilter Investors.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm going to try, in the essence of time, I'm going to start with tariffs today. And there's been so much talk of tariffs, and obviously the introduction of them, the backtracking of them. They're up, they're down, they're paused. So maybe we can start with, where do things currently stand?
Okay, yeah, sure. So, first of all, we have a baseline tariff from the US of 10% on all imports. They've suspended the idea of their reciprocal tariffs for 90 days pending negotiations. So, that will take us to July the 8th. And we hear snippets about how those negotiations are going. I think the reality is that a trade deal tends to take 2 or 3 years, and it's done with a huge team of people involved. They've got 84 countries to work with in now just under 90 days. I think almost a month has passed since Liberation Day now. So the reality is that's not going to happen. It's going to have to be a more wholesale approach taken. The other tariffs that we still have in place are on the auto sector, 25%, and on the metal sector. There have been a few carve outs from these already. So, for example, Mexico and Canada have benefited from carve outs on all their products, which had faced 25% tariffs across the board for anything covered by the USMCA agreement. So there's been some moves already on the tariff levels imposed, but generally speaking, it's this baseline tariff that makes up the largest part of it. Now, China hasn't escaped as easily. There's a tariff of 145% now when you add up all the different layers of tariffs that have been put in place on Chinese goods. Now, that means effectively there's a trade embargo between these two nations. I think the US is starting to realize that this is going to be really damaging for their economy too. When we think about rare earths, these are important minerals that go into production of defense equipment, renewable energy, medical purposes as well. Around 80% of the rare earths the US uses come from China. Similarly, with consumer electronics, about 90% of consumer electronics come from China. So they're starting to realize this embargo is going to be really disruptive, and they're already making noises about trying to address this tariff level. China doesn't want to know anything about it yet. They're the ones playing hardball. So we're going to have to wait and see how this evolves over the coming months. But that is currently the way that the land lies.
Okay, and well done for keeping up to date with all of that. And I suppose one of my when I was hearing about it, the concept for President Trump was that, well, actually, over a period of time, these goods can be produced in the US. But actually, everything I hear says, you can't turn a tanker like this. It's years and years and years to build just, warehouses, to build manufacturing, to build the skill sets and all of that. So actually, I just wonder if the awareness is there that actually so much of this is going to be really hard to achieve when it comes to the production of this stuff in the US anyway.
Oh, completely. Michelin, the tire manufacturer, have already said that to open a tire factory in the US would take them about 3 years and about $600 million. That's before they even produce one tire. And we have to remember that the US is a higher cost jurisdiction than the places where these manufacturers already manufacture their goods. So not only have they got this big upfront cost to doing it, a very disruptive process as well, but at the end of the journey, they're going to have to work in a higher cost environment. So given Donald Trump's got 4 years in the White House and could possibly have his feathers clipped a little bit at the midterms, they might just decide to wait it out. But some companies are already making noises about increasing their manufacturing exposure to the US. We've had JCB in the UK as one of these companies. There's also Roche as well, talking about really expanding in the US. So I think it's really going to depend on the company and how much exposure they have, how difficult it is to shift that manufacturing. But by and large, yes, it's not an easy process and not a cheap one either.